You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, Bold and Beautiful fans. It is Belinda from Soap Dirt. And based on some behavior we've been seeing from Eric Forrester, I have to wonder if there is some kind of exit storyline coming for him that has something to do with dementia, something like that. And this has me really wondering if John McCook might finally be retiring from Bold and the Beautiful. Okay, and I have reasons for saying this. In recent chats with his son Ridge, we saw Eric chafing at what definitely seemed like disrespect. And initially, I also felt like a lot of you probably do that Ridge was sort of being douchey to his adoptive dad when Eric was trying to talk to him about this legacy line he wants to do. And then their conversation continued on this last Friday. I started to feel a little bit of a different vibe. I want to talk about this with you guys and see if you are getting the same feeling that I did, and that Bold is about to do a medical storyline for Eric Forrester. And no, not the arthritis storyline, something else entirely. We're going to dig in and talk about this right now. But if you haven't already, please reach down, click subscribe so you don't miss any of our Bold and the Beautiful updates. So the last time that Bold and the Beautiful did a medical malady for Eric Forrester, it was very embarrassing. Remember, they wrote an erectile dysfunction plot. And I mean, have you seen an ED plot on another soap? None springs to mind. It's icky, and it was so humiliating. And then like everybody at Forrester Creation seemed to know that Eric could not get firm in the bedroom. And then it got so icky that the actor who plays him, John McCook, actually did a little video. John McCook posted on Instagram and maybe also on Facebook, but he was saying that his character Eric is his friend, but is not him. Now, he didn't specify Eric has ED, I don't have ED, but that was definitely, to me, because of the timing of when this video came out, that he was trying to make it clear that this is a medical malady that my character is suffering, not me. Very awkward for you to have to come out as a guy and even talk about that, right? So then they pivoted and they made it so that Eric only had ED with Quinn Fuller, his wife at the time. And remember, Eric was supposedly off at the club playing pickleball, but Eric was really cheating, letting Donna Logan play with his pickle. I'll leave any puns about balls to your imagination. So are they now setting up another medical plot for the Forrester patriarch? So there are some confirmed spoilers that he is hiding a medical condition, and then he came out with it to RJ. But I think it's a bit more complicated than it seems at first, just because of other stuff that's going on. So if they do a more serious medical thing, not just this arthritis thing, is it a sign that John McCook might be planning to retire from the CBS soap? I mean, if Eric has dementia or Alzheimer's, they could absolutely send John McCook out with this big Emmy-worthy storyline. The scene with Eric and Ridge last week began with what seemed like Eric's casual disrespect aimed at his dad. But then as it went on, to me, it began to look like Eric was being unreasonably hostile, kind of paranoid, and forgetful, okay? He ranted at Ridge, and at first, it was understandable. I did think Ridge was being kind of dismissive and kind of pejorative. And then it sounded like Ridge, it was trying to put Eric out to pasture, and then he kind of backtracked with his dad. But maybe there's a reason that Ridge is encouraging his dad to retire and enjoy time with Donna and the grandkids and great-grandkids. Also, in that same scene, to me, watching it, it seemed like Eric was losing a little control, kind of just lost a little bit of presence of where he is and what position he holds at the company in that moment. Because he started ranting about all these people being in his office. And then he lists off everyone. And what was funny, though, he listed Paris last, and even Paris, for God's sake. What makes Paris worse than anybody else? I don't even know. I mean, anyway, but Eric listed everybody off. And then he was saying, this is my office. This is my office. And it's like, that's the CEO office. Eric isn't the CEO, and he hasn't been for a while. Ridge and Steffi have been co-CEOs for a few years now. So that was weird to me. And then when Ridge talked about it being a common space, Eric's like, it's my space. It's my office. And this angry, sort of abrasive attitude is not something that we've seen from Eric Forrester before. He seems angry, a bit lost to me, and a bit paranoid. And then this week, he has shared a medical diagnosis with RJ, but I think there might actually be more than one medical diagnosis at play. This is not an official spoiler. This is me looking at the official spoilers, looking at what's happening on Bald and saying, I wonder if this is where they're going. Just to be clear, I'm not saying John McCook is leaving. I'm not saying Eric has a more serious illness. I'm saying based on what I'm seeing, I wonder. So in that vein of me wondering, I am wondering if this is John McCook's exit storyline. The actor is 79. He has been on Bold and the Beautiful since 1987, since the very first episode aired over 36 years ago. He started on the show when he was the tender age of 43, and he has grown into a fun, sly silver fox who has bedded an array of ladies over the year. He has been quite naughty back in his day. But is Bold preparing a sad plot to be his swan song? Strictly based on his age, there's always chatter about potential retirement. Anytime there's an actor on any soap in their 70s or 80s that has any kind of medical thing happen or anything, there's always questions. Are they leaving? Is this their final storyline? But this could simply be a plot of a pissing match between father and son over who's designing better. Or it could be a red flag of something else. I absolutely get why Ridge is trying to discourage his dad from designing. Remember, after Thomas was forced off of Hope for the Future, Zendaya and Eric designed a collection and it bombed, which means that was a waste of money, a waste of time. It hurt the brand, it hurt the company. Maybe that's why Ridge is saying, Dad, retire, play pickleball, enjoy yourself. But then again, maybe it's more than that. Remember Eric's rant about the stapler that he's had since he opened the company? It wasn't tossed out last week. Ridge said it was thrown out 10 years ago. Eric should have known that stapler was long gone because they threw it out 10 years ago. Eric was still CEO then. The stapler stopped working, they tossed it, and then Eric's like, oh, just like me. But why wouldn't Eric already know about this stapler? And I know a stapler is a thin thing, but it's one of a lot of things. So in this week's spoilers, we have Eric venting to RJ about this whole situation. Joshua Hoffman, who plays RJ, said recently at the fan event, I think, that he had an upcoming design-related storyline, and of course, he's going to work with his granddad. And confirmed official spoilers for Bold say he does offer to work with him, and then he's going to try to teach Eric how to use some digital design tools because Eric's arthritis means he's struggling to hold the pencil. And Eric asks him, please don't tell anyone that I've got arthritis. So RJ's offering to teach him how to use these other tools, but it's just weird to me because if you've ever worked on digital tools and tablets and drawing apps, instead of a pencil or a pen, it's a stylus. It's still the same thing. Arthritis would still mess with you. I don't know what kind of thing they're going to do that's not going to involve him having to hold something in his hand to get what's in his head out onto the paper. But I also see other issues with Eric. These irrational outbursts of anger, not remembering that he's not the CEO and it's not his office, the forgetfulness, the stapler incident, and kind of this a little bit of what smacks of paranoia around Ridge trying to oust him. So just out of an abundance of curiosity, which I have a ton of, I looked up dementia and Alzheimer's symptoms and the difference between the two. They're actually a bit different, which I didn't know before I started digging in. I had them kind of in my mind as sort of the same thing. So my mother actually has chemotherapy attributed dementia. She had cancer and they had to give her really strong chemo and her brain hasn't been right since then. She had a thing called chemo brain, and then now, like 10 years later, it's devolved and it is dementia. But it's not Alzheimer's that she has. She's definitely losing her memory. She doesn't remember me most of the time. It's really sad. It's terrible. But Alzheimer's is in and of itself a specific disease that can cause dementia. But dementia can also come separate from Alzheimer's. Dementia is not a normal part of getting older. It's caused by damage to brain cells that can affect your communication, your behavior, your emotions, and your thought processes. In contrast, Alzheimer's is a degenerative brain disease caused by cellular damage that causes very complex changes in the brain. Neither Alzheimer's nor dementia is a normal part of aging. These are both illnesses. One's a disease, one is like a degenerative condition. They're both degenerative conditions. And it starts with symptoms related to learning, as in retaining new information. And then as symptoms progress, it can include severe disorientation, confusion, behavior changes. And then with Alzheimer's, speaking, swallowing, and walking become more difficult as it progresses. Alzheimer's is fatal and is in the top 10 causes of death in the U.S. All right, so now let's switch back to Eric Forrester and what could be going on with him. But first, I want to ask you to share your comments on whether you think this is just the arthritis thing, or do you also see what I'm seeing, that there might be something more serious going on? If you haven't already, please click like. That really helps the channel. It helps me bring you good videos to know what content you guys like, and definitely click a like if you are enjoying this analysis, as sad as it is. So, me personally, I don't want to see John McCook exit, but I would absolutely love to see John McCook win another Emmy for a strong Eric Forrester storyline. If you didn't know, McCook was nominated 4 times, all in the 2000s. He was nominated in 2001, 2012, 2018, and 2022, but it was only last year in 2022 that he finally won the Emmy. So that's the big question. Is this simply an arthritis storyline, or is there more to it? Let me know what you guys think. Drop your comments. Thank you for listening. This is Belinda from Soap Dirt.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.